Hello everybody, this is more storytelling practice for me. I wanted to tell the story of my first birth for my oldest son, who is now 7. So in May of 2019, I was 9 months pregnant. It was a very difficult pregnancy, lots of leg swelling, I had dizziness, lots of headaches. I was told all those things were normal. So I proceeded with the pregnancy as normal and just tolerated the symptoms as they came. And 9-month mark came around. I just moved towns and apartments. Since this was my new child, I needed room, or my first child, I needed room for him. And it was a couple days before my due date, which was the end of May, and I was home alone. My partner at the time was at work, so I went to visit family about an hour away. It was a very hot day, and I stopped at my grandfather's house. I was visiting with my aunt. I have a history of ocular migraines, so when I started to have vision or visual disturbances at my family's house, I had chalked it up to it being a migraine. And I told my aunt that I needed to lay down and sleep it off for a little bit before I could drive home. And I also had mentioned to her that I had gone without a migraine the entire pregnancy, which was wonderful. She immediately took action, thankfully, found a blood pressure cuff, took my blood pressure, and then to test its accuracy, took everyone's blood pressure in the room, and then chose to call 911 for me. She still to this day has not told me what my blood pressure was, but that was when I started to not be able to speak. So she was asking me questions and no words were coming out. I remember trying to text my partner at the time, and my words were jumbled, nothing was making sense. The ambulance came, they took me to the hospital, and it was there that they ran a bunch of tests and deemed me to have preeclampsia. They reassured me that the preeclampsia was not too severe, so that I should be able to give birth without a drug known as magnesium. And the nurse really emphasized to me how horrible magnesium was and how lucky I was that I didn't need it, and that it makes you feel like you got hit by a truck. And then about 5 minutes later, the same nurse came back in and said, I lied to you, your results are very severe, so you will need magnesium during your labor and birth. I then proceeded to be in labor for 19 hours with the magnesium, which does in fact make you feel like you got hit by a truck. I know if there's any moms listening to this who have experience with preeclampsia, they will know what I'm talking about. When it finally came time to push my son out, I pushed him out in 20 minutes, and all he needed was some oxygen at birth, and other than that, he was born healthy. I ended up being okay. I did have high blood pressure for 2 years after I gave birth. It never went back to normal. I had to manage it with medication. And then I got pregnant with my younger son, and that pregnancy lowered my blood pressure back to normal. So that is the story I chose to share today. I have 2 crazy birth stories, but that was the crazier one. So I appreciate you for listening. Thank you.